super long, drawn-out opening FMV with late 90s rock? Yeah, this appears to be a run-of-the-mill game about dirt bikes, right? This is Edgar Torronteras' Extreme Biker. Edgar's a professional motocross guy I've never heard of. To be fair, I don't follow the X Games or any kind of extreme sports, so he could be a popular dude. I imagine he's got more fame in Europe, as I couldn't find a US release of this game. My only options were a French copy and a British one. It appears to be an obscure game in general. There's reviews here and there, but nothing crazy in terms of internet presence. Also, I see people mention the demo a lot, which makes me wonder if this game sold well at all, or if it's like a lot of shareware titles that are best remembered for that first episode. Who knows? The obscurity status of Extreme Biker begs the question. Why was I looking at it in the first place? Well, my stream editor, Sunbun, told me about it. He caught my interest by saying that there's an Easter egg on top of a skyscraper. I love Easter eggs. That's why Just Cause 2 will always hold a special place in my heart. The back of the box all seems pretty straightforward. It's a motocross game, so it's all about racing and doing stunts. This game has a lot of sponsors, too, including Pepsi. Pepsi?! Alright, sorry. That started to get weird. When you boot up Extreme Biker, everything seems fairly normal. You can create your own biker by giving them a name and choosing your uniform and bike color. However, some of these colors are so weird. Like this cat one. Look at those eyes, man. One has a demon on the back, and there's one that's a skeleton. It's so weird, but kind of cool. I went with the cat uniform because of those Nightmare Fuel Cheshire cat eyes, and I went with the skeleton bike just because it's pretty cool. What a wild combo, a cat on a skeleton. Alright, you are now ready to choose an event. Motocross is outdoors on various maps, Supercross is indoor arena-like places, and Freestyle is just accumulating points during a set time limit, and it also has its own map list. Before each event, you can customize the attributes of you and your bike. We'll come back to this later. Let's take a look at Motocross first. The very first track shows a picture of a rainbow with the lyrics of Do Re Mi from The Sound of Music. What? Each track gets wilder than the last. We got Dante's Peak, which if you don't know is a reference to a movie about a volcanic eruption. One of the tracks is literally hell. Excuse me? A game that seems perfectly fine on the surface has a hell level? Supercross tracks are all normal with mostly normal descriptions. Then Freestyle gets weird again. All of them have some kind of meme description except for the Norwegian Blues one. It's blank. Maniac Mirage is funny because it's got commas instead of periods in one place. It's like they typed all these descriptions right before it was time to launch, so no editing was being had. Well, it's really hard to know where to start with Extreme Biker because there's just so much. We could talk about Hell, since everyone was pretty confused about that, but I can tell you that it's not as cool as it sounds. It's a dark map and everything is hard to see, including where to go. It's still wild that it exists in a straight-faced biking game. Norwegian Blues is very eerie with this crashed plane because you can hear people screaming inside. One of the freestyle maps reminds me of the Dream World from Inception. Not a whole lot makes sense, and it seems like a map that had glitched out. It's like the dev said, oh, even though this broke, it'd make a great freestyle map. Or maybe this is where they were like testing graphics and physics, and they thought, you know, let's just release it. The ice map has UFOs, a scary snowman, and an alien that is in an ice block. There's just so much going on in these maps. At this point, most of these things are not Easter eggs, just normal old track decor. But what about that Skyscraper Easter egg? While driving around on Paris map, I noticed a series of ramps I didn't hit while following the normal track route. You have to take this ramp and land on this narrow building. Let me tell you, this isn't easy. Then you gotta hit a few other sketchy ramps, get off the last one, and it's a zombie. There's a zombie in this game. A zombie in a dirt bike motocross whatever game. It's actually really well modeled too. Like, really nicely detailed. This isn't some meme game on Steam. This is from 1999, a full-fledged Sierra published release. Touching the zombie unlocks the Titan map. What's with the 90s and Titan? First Hard War, now this. Is this a prequel to Hard War? The Titan map looks masochistic with obstacles that scale the side of a mountain. I definitely did not complete this. There's so many more Easter eggs. I found a video on YouTube where someone shows most of them off. Some of the unlocked levels look wild. Alright. That's the funny stuff. So how about the game itself? Well, let's start from the beginning. Remember those stats? You got an option between 3 presets. I stuck with the middle one as it's the good medium between speed and balance. All these stats can be changed using the custom option. You win races and pull off tricks, you get points that are added to the total stat pool. I'm not sure what a lot of these stats control and if they really do anything, so I didn't tinker with it at all, really. There's also 3 levels of assist. These are related to air control. With max assist, your bike will land 100% of the time on its wheels. With the default, you might have to adjust every now and again, but sometimes it'll snap on its own. Then there's no assist, which is really difficult to do. The bikes feel fine and react as expected when hitting bumps or ramps. That's not the issue. The controls are the main problem. The default control scheme sucks, but when I tried to remap them, I discovered that there's secret commands not found in the options. So when I tried to map accelerate to W, every time I pressed W, it changed the cameras to one of the AI. This isn't anywhere in the options unless I'm blind. Well, the default scheme has you doing some finger yoga, making it difficult to press the roll buttons to reposition yourself in the air. I got the hang of it, but a more modern scheme would make this so much easier. Hitting ramps or large gaps are difficult unless you understand how to move yourself in the air. Landing is also a challenge when flying through the course. It creates a bit of strategy. Yeah, you could haul it as fast as possible, but hitting a jump too hard means overshooting the track or landing so fast and awkwardly resulting in an ejection. Remember those stats and why I stick with a happy medium? There is a such thing as going too fast. Hitting a ramp at light speed may have you completely missing your target. Pulling off tricks is really annoying. Here, I'll just let the tutorial video explain.
Performing the stunt is achieved in one of 3 ways, depending upon the difficulty level of the stunt. Firstly, the stunt has to be activated by pressing one of the 2 stunt buttons, followed by a combination of direction movements. Easy stunts don't require any balancing of the rider and can be performed by a button movement combination. Second, medium stunts require you to partially balance the rider along one axis. Once the stunt is activated, a bar will appear with a puck at its center. As the rider loses balance, the puck must be moved left and right to keep it as close to the center as possible. Finally, hard stunts require you to fully balance the rider along 2 axes by keeping the puck at the center of the circle. If the puck leaves the circle, the rider will lose balance and fall off.
This tutorial lady is intense. I find it hilarious how she's talking like it's a mission briefing. But yeah, the trick system kinda sucks, so I never bothered with it. I cared more about the racing anyway. The only other minor nitpick I have is the lack of a reverse button, but the only time I've encountered the need to reverse is when I was exploring. It never happened during a race. That's as far as controls go. They work great once you get used to the weird layout. Now, what about the races themselves? While the Easter eggs most certainly stole the show, I knew I had to do some racing to give this game a chance. I didn't want it to just be that dirt bike game with the zombie. Supercross is kind of lame because it takes place in indoor arenas, although these are much more challenging tracks. I don't know, it could just be me, but I've always liked outdoor tracks more. I felt the same way when I played MX vs ATV Off-Road Fury on PSP growing up. There's quite a bit of tracks to race on, so even if you preferred one over the other, there's no shortage of content. You can do individual races or you can do a tournament. You can control the number of laps and opponents. Of course, you can modify the laps for individual tracks within a tournament because some are definitely longer than others, but it's no big deal. Tournament load allows you to choose the tracks you want to race and what order you want to do them in. You can have all 3 events listed as well. It can be a tough game mode as only positions 1 through 3 get points, so finishing 4th is the same as finishing 8th. There's times where I finished below 3rd and I was afraid of losing my top spot, but the AI also lost with me, creating a stalemate in positions. That's probably the best part about Extreme Biker. Certain AI is not programmed to finish at certain positions. There also seems to be no rubber banding. Because of this, I usually either lose by a lot or win by a lot. The field gets super spread out as bikers will crash at various places throughout the track. It starts out really intense because you're on top of one another and you're trying to, get ahead, but it's also really hilarious. The AI immediately collide with each other, making this sound like bombs are going off. But afterwards, you'll end up racing by yourself, and you probably won't see another person. When you finish the tournament in a podium finish, you get this crusty cutscene. During the tournament itself, each race finishes with Edgar doing stuff. There's quite a few of these, and it doesn't matter what place you finish, they just happen at random. So there's not many complaints. In fact, I love this game. For $19.99, the graphics are amazing. The controls, as stated, are fine once you get used to them. The wacky tracks, it's all great. The complaints I do have are mainly just nitpicks. Like when you respawn, the camera is facing your biker instead of ahead, making it difficult to get a speedy start. Accelerate being on shift is kind of dumb due to the sticky and filter keys, but of course that can be disabled. Honestly, the worst part is getting the game to actually work. Installing this beast is a real pain. Both the French and British copies won't work until you've installed an update. If you try to run the game without it, the game won't see the CD. The French one came with the update, you just had to run it from the file directory. The British one didn't. There's a YouTube video where a guy explains the issue and has the update available for download. Just in case this video gets removed for some reason, I went ahead and uploaded the patch to archive.org, link in the description. This game is also only compatible with select few GPUs. Now, every card will still work, but it's only optimized for certain ones. This is a common complaint I found in some archived reviews. My graphics card technically isn't supported, but it ran just fine. The game is just, in general, a pain to get going because even when you're starting it, you can't launch it from the CD. You have to launch it from the executable from within Windows, or else it won't see the CD. It's just something. I couldn't get this game working in Windows 10, but XP worked fine, and I've seen videos where people were playing it in 7. Once in the game, though, I had little complaints, most of which can be ignored or adjusted to them. It's just a fun little game. The whole time I've been playing unrelated OSTs in the background, but you've gotten a small snippet of the in-game music when I was demonstrating some kind of sound effect. Well, now it's time to let that music be heard because it's something else. I streamed this briefly and someone said it sounded like Omicron music, and it most certainly does. However, when I first heard it, all I could think about was Hackers and Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. Hackers because of the music, Charlie's Angels because of the music, and that dirt bike scene. It made me create a wild idea for a movie in my head. Basically, you got this racing league that races through the most dangerous or remote parts of the world, and it takes place in the same view of the future Hackers had, but their bikes are just normal old bikes from the 90s, no Tron or anything like that. The plot is played straight like a sports drama. Newcomer to the racing scene, ready to prove he belongs there or whatever. I want the movie to be mostly racing with action coming from the wild stuff like outrunning a volcanic eruption or flying through Area 51 while dodging government forces actively battling aliens. It's all played very straight, like the bikers are used to this. Because, well, in this universe, they are. When they go to hell, it's just another race. They zoom through Damnation Valley like it's a commonplace thing to do. And Satan's just kind of there like, oh, those racers again, huh? And he just kind of watches for a moment before going back to whatever he was doing. Then when the racers get back to the real world, they're all really smoky and kind of burnt, but they celebrate winning or upset at losing. And no one questions that they just raced through hell. I'd watch that movie. Make it happen. Anyway, I really like Extreme Biker. Sure, I haven't played Motocross Madness or MX vs. ATV in a very long time, so I can't compare it to anything, but I had loads of fun racing through these tracks. There's more things to unlock and to find, which means I'll be paying this gym a visit again in my off time. Maybe even more on stream over at Twitch. I think this game is a lot of fun, and not just in gameplay. I mean, the tone is goofy, and the tracks are even goofier, but it all works in a nice, cohesive experience. The races are serious. There's no gimmicks or combat, but in the background, you got all sorts of things to look at and explore. I think Deibus Studios really put their heart and soul in the game. They let themselves have a lot of fun while also making an enjoyable racing game. The Igloo on Norwegian Blues has a developer room, and this is just too cool. Extreme Biker is a great game that has unfortunately been forgotten by time. While there's tons of games with Extreme in the title from the 90s and early 2000s, I think this was one of the few that has earned that title. What a great game. Seek it out for yourself and discover the secrets of each course, learn how to drive fast, land those large jumps, and become an Extreme Biker.